Andrew Tate has built one of the biggest personal brands on the internet, and it's all around one thing. And that one thing is winning. Supercars, private jets, tons and tons and buckets of cash, lots of women, super yachts, super fast cars, the lifestyle, the houses, and all the rest. And if somebody ever questioned his success, Tate had one of the most famous responses. He said, "What colour's your Bugatti?" And that went around the internet like absolute wildfire when he first said that. Anyway, this week, his own lawyers have made a pretty interesting argument in court. They say some of Tate's luxury lifestyle, or some of the luxury lifestyle that Tate showed online, including supercars, was actually rented or used deliberately to make him appear wealthier than he actually is or was. And I think there is a bigger question to be asked here. If the lifestyle was part of the sales pitch, how much does it matter if the lifestyle itself was partly a performance? Andrew and Tristan Tate are currently fighting extradition from the United States to the UK. As part of that legal battle, prosecutors have argued that their apparent wealth and resources could make them a flight risk, but their lawyers have essentially responded, "Don't believe everything you see on social media." Court filings reported this week say the brothers intentionally portrayed themselves as extraordinarily wealthy because attention was part of the business model. Their lawyers say luxury cars shown online were rented or leased, and the appearances involving things like yachts weren't necessarily proof that the brothers actually owned them. The argument is essentially that Andrew Tate is an internet personality, and Andrew Tate online is partly just a character. Now, renting a supercar isn't inherently dishonest. Loads of people rent cars every single day. Influencers rent houses for, shoots, for videos, for shorts and reels on the internet. Musicians rent cars for music videos. Films use props. There's nothing particularly shocking about that in and of itself. But Tate, it's slightly different, because the wealth wasn't just a decoration around the product. The wealth was part of the product for years and years. The message was essentially, well, look at my cars, look at my lifestyle, look at the freedom that I have. Now join my program and I'll teach you how to make money too. His business has included things like paid programs for teaching men and women about making money and achieving financial independence. And that's where I think it becomes pretty interesting. If you're selling cooking lessons, nobody really cares whether the Lamborghini outside belongs to you. But if you're selling financial success and the Lamborghini is evidence, the system works, and whether it's yours suddenly becomes relevant, And to be fair to Tate, we don't know from these filings that he isn't wealthy. That isn't what his lawyers are saying. They are arguing that the extreme level of wealth portrayed online shouldn't be treated literally. But an important distinction is to be made. It's still fascinating because for years, critics saying social media isn't real, this is carefully manufactured persona, could be dismissed as jealous or unsuccessful. Now his own legal team is making a surprisingly similar argument. The outrageousness is part of the performance. And I think there's actually a bigger lesson that goes way beyond Tate here. We live in the internet culture, internet economy, where appearing successful becomes part of being successful, becoming successful. You rent the car, you get the photographer, the photograph gets the attention, and then the attention gets the followers, and the followers then buy something. And eventually the appearance of success can actually generate real money. It's almost a feedback loop, and Tate may simply be one of the most extreme examples of that. I also think younger men in particular need to understand this. When somebody online appears to have the perfect body, the perfect relationship, tens of millions and millions of dollars and pounds, 6 million supercars and a private jet and complete control of their life, you're nearly always looking at the most carefully selected version of reality. Sometimes it's genuine, sometimes it's exaggerated, sometimes it's marketing, sometimes it's absolute bullshit, and sometimes you simply do not know. So does this suddenly mean that Andrew Tate has no money? No, probably not. Does renting a Bugatti automatically make someone a fraud? Obviously not. But if luxury was deliberately being used to make somebody appear significantly wealthier because that image helped sell their message, then I think people are perfectly entitled to reassess how much credibility they give that image in the first place. Because perhaps the most interesting part of this story isn't whether Tate owned the cars, it's that his lawyers are now arguing something the internet probably should have understood already. Andrew Tate, the brand, and Andrew Tate, the man, aren't necessarily the same thing. And that's worth remembering the next time somebody tries to sell you a lifestyle through a screen. This is Jake O'Neill Talks, honest commentary on modern life.